Next on Worcester News Tonight, firefighters battle heavy flames at a house fire in Worcester. A look at the damage. Plus, it's been more than 60 years since a devastating tornado hit the city. We take a look back. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Andy Madison. We begin tonight with a massive house fire here in Worcester. Firefighters battling heavy flames and weather conditions, which made it tough to put out the fire as it spread quickly through the building.
The time I was across the street, the fire was going through the first floor window. And by the time the firefighters showed up, within 3 minutes, the fire was already up to the second.
Ed Spalding was on the third floor of the building when the fire started. He says he grabbed what he could and got out as flames quickly spread up to the second floor, then to the third.
Two people, neighbors, I don't know who they were, but they kicked in the first and second floor doors to make sure everyone was out. When they got to the first, there was too much smoke, so they took off for their own safety.
Spalding was the only one home. He called 911 and crews quickly arrived on Harrison Street. Heavy winds caused the fire to spread quickly, shooting out onto the roof.
Been pipe chases, the wall voids, they run right up to the attic, and unfortunately that's where the fire got to. And once it gets up there, we're just, fighting a race we can't win.
It was pretty big though. The wind made it like a bit worse.
The heavy smoke and flames made the fire visible for several miles. A damaging fire crews rushed to put out, and neighbors say it could have been much worse.
It's a nice neighborhood and, a lot of nice people, so you get concerned when something happens like that,
Glad I got out and glad no one was hurt.
Firefighters are investigating the cause. One person tells us the building did have smoke detectors. Well, in a unanimous vote, the Historical Commission denies a demolition delay waiver for Mount Carmel Church. The Diocese of Worcester went in front of the Historical Commission at City Hall tonight. They were hoping to get a waiver to tear down the church, citing structural issues, including the facade of the structure. Parishioners and community members say that the diocese needs to come to a compromise and believe that the church and everything that comes with it can be saved.
This is, it's a remarkable piece of property. You have an off-ramp and an on-ramp. It's an invaluable piece of property. The community paid for it, built it, sustained it. The church shouldn't be able to take it away and sell it.
This means Mount Carmel can't be torn down for a year. Charges have been dropped against one of the men accused of taking human remains from a Worcester cemetery. A spokesman for the district attorney's office tells Worcester News Tonight the case against Felix Delgado was dropped because the human remains found in his Bridgeport, Connecticut apartment aren't consistent with remains stolen from Hope Cemetery last year. Delgado and Amadro Medina were arrested after it was discovered human remains were missing from a mausoleum at the cemetery. Charges have not been dropped against Medina. He is due in court later this month. A child found wandering the streets in Northborough leads to an investigation of a daycare center. Police say 2 people reported seeing a 22-month-old walking on Church Street after wandering from daycare. It turns out the child had wandered away, and our Olivia Lemon has a look at the investigation.
I think he was startled after that, and then with all the commotion, he was crying on the side of the road, but overall, it seems, he's still the happy young boy that we had last week.
A father is thankful his 22-month-old son is safe. The toddler was found wandering the street outside of his daycare Monday morning. Northborough police say the boy was walking alone in the middle of Church Street. Drivers noticed him and called police right away.
I'm right here. I got the little boy in my arms, but I think there might be an emergency inside because there's no adult anywhere.
Chief William Livers says the owner of Lissa's daycare, Melissa Tatton, had taken 6 children for a walk, but then realized she had left 1 child behind. According to a police report, Tatton admitted she messed up and takes full responsibility for her actions.
She changed her story from what she told us to what she told the police. Made us a little bit more concerned about what might have actually been going on.
The boy's dad says his son will not be going back to the daycare. In the meantime, a family friend is watching him. Chief Livers says the owner is licensed to care for 6 children by herself and up to 10 with an assistant. Tatton's assistant had called out sick Monday and she took on 7 children by herself. Although it is under investigation, Liver says Tatton will not be charged.
The situation just didn't rise to the level of a crime. There was no intent, there was no willfulness on her part. It was just an egregious oversight.
Olivia Lemon, Worcester News Tonight.
The Hubbardston couple charged with organizing a sex party pleads not guilty today, according to the Telegram and Gazette. The Attorney General's office says the couple recruited women through online advertisements to take part in sexual activities in exchange for a fee at hotels in Auburn, Northborough, Westminster, Worcester, and Billerica. The women were promised payments ranging from $5,000 to $12,000, but were never paid. The pair is facing numerous charges, including human trafficking for sexual servitude. It's been more than 60 years since a devastating tornado ripped through Worcester. It was a devastating storm with winds reaching speeds of 300 miles per hour. Our Brittany Schaefer spoke with a few people who remember that day and has their story.
I don't make heroes. I just write about them. I tell the world about them.
63 years ago Thursday, a devastating and deadly tornado hit Worcester. John O'Toole published the first book about the storm, named Tornado: 84 Minutes, 94 Lives.
It was too important to ignore. It's the most concentrated, specific weather anomaly or weather tragedy in all history of Worcester.
The storm was classified as an F4 tornado with wind speeds reaching more than 300 miles per hour. O'Toole interviewed more than 50 survivors and still remembers their stories.
And she called, "Charlie, Charlie." No answer. "Charlie." Then she finally heard, "I'm over here, Bill." It turned out he was under the overturned bathtub and didn't get more than a bump or two.
Kathy Ludstrom's father was just as fortunate on June 9th, 1953.
She said, I have a very bad feeling about this. You better come inside. So he went inside the house, and all of a sudden the wind picked up, and they didn't know what it was because they never heard of a tornado in Worcester.
It was after the tornado, Ludstrom's father took video on his camera of the $52 million worth of damage, which translates to $349 million today.
A couple of streets down, they were wiped away. All the houses were gone. On Uncantina, they were gone. All the houses were gone.
O'Toole says it's 63 years later, and the memory of the tornado will live on forever.
But the memory is still there, but it's softer edged. It's not that unbelievable grief when you realize that someone has died.
Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester swears in 29 new firefighters today. The graduation from the academy took place at Worcester Technical High School. The new firefighters went through 14 weeks of rigorous training. Most of them will be starting work as early as this weekend. Chief Gardell says this new group will help the fire department's staffing levels. A new report says the MBTA retirement fund is too expensive. The Pioneer Institute says the fund's value would have been $900 million higher in 2014 if it had been managed by the State Employee Pension Fund. Instead, it says the T is bearing the brunt of added pension costs. They're urging lawmakers to do away with the independent fund and place it under the management of the state